Okay, I'd like to call to order the August 27th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals meeting at 7 o'clock. Jen, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Stewart.
Here.
Commissioner Mellon.
Here.
Commissioner Patel. Commissioner Taman. Commissioner DeGraff.
Here.
Commissioner Kempa.
Here.
Chairman Dash.
Here.
I see John.
Hey, John, *6 to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Oh, there he is. Hi,
Okay,
John.
there he is.
All right.
And then do we see if Neil is on the line here? Can we look to see if,
He did not respond.
Actually, I spoke to him today, and he said he would be here, so I don't know what happened.
all right, well, we'll look to see if he logs on here this evening. Okay, the first item of business this evening is to consider the July 23rd, 2020 PZBA meeting minutes. Are there any comments, changes, or corrections to the minutes as presented this evening? Okay, then if no changes, do I have a motion, please, to approve the July 23rd, 2020 PZBA minutes as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Mellon. Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Abstain.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
And Chairman Dash.
Abstain.
Motion passes.
Okay, we have one case of old business this evening. Okay, we have PZBA public hearing case number ZBA 20-11. And the applicant is Lucas Borkowski at 905 Edward Road, Prospect Heights, Illinois, 60070. And the applicant is seeking two variations this evening. The first is to allow a 37-foot recreational vehicle in excess of the 32-foot maximum allowed for parking storage for recreational vehicles for section 5-8-4B3. And the second variation he's seeking a request on is to reduce the required side yard setback from 5 feet to 1.5 feet for the construction of the driveway to access the rear yard as required by section 5-8-2E2A. Director Peterson, do I reopen them?
Yes, you have to reopen this case and re-swear in anyone who would like to testify at the time of testifying.
Perfect. Okay, then I'd like a motion, please, to reopen the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-11.
Bruce Mellon will make that motion. I'll second it. Commissioner DeGraff.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman. *6, John. Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
And Chairman Dash.
Aye.
Yeah, and I'm here too, Neil.
Oh, hi, Neil. And Neil.
Thank you, Neil.
Okay.
Okay, so, Director Peterson, your comments, please.
Thank you. Chairman Dash, PZBA members, this case was originally before us last month and received a negative recommendation to City Council. During the time between the ZBA meeting and the council meeting, the applicant, Mr. Borkowski, went and met with the neighbor immediately to the east who, it was identified they had not signed the submitted roster of no objectors, and has, after discussion with the owner and some negotiations about moving the driveway further back and putting the, parking the camper behind the garage of the neighbor, has agreed to the concept of does not object to the variation request. Plat of survey was signed and notarized by the neighbor and submitted by the owner as new evidence. And they've submitted some pictures and some information about the camper. And as this was new evidence, presented it to the council, they remanded it back because that should have been considered here. So that's why it's here before us this evening.
Okay, so is the applicant on the call this evening to present this additional information?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. I need to swear you in this evening. So if you would raise your right hand, please. Do you swear that the testimony you'll be giving this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
I swear.
If you would just please state your names and address for the record.
My name is Ursula Borkowski.
Łukasz Borkowski,
And your address at,
905 Edward Road, Prosper Heights, Illinois, 60070.
great, thank you, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, thank you, everybody, for getting together and reopening this case for us. We really appreciate it. Just to refresh everybody's memory, on the original case, the purpose of this project was to move an existing camper from our front driveway to the back of the property to take it from the street view. Our original plan was to put it on the right side of the house by extending our actual driveway. Unfortunately, between our house and the trees on the right side, we weren't able to fit the camper widthwise. Therefore, the only option that we were left with was place the driveway or build a new driveway on the left side of the property. However, in order to back up to our property to park the camper in the back, we would need 11-foot wide driveway in order to turn and back in, and that puts us closer to our property line due to two existing air conditioning units that are placed on the elevated concrete slab on the left side of the house. So the 11-foot would put us closer to our neighbor's property. However, once we backed into our property, the driveway, as you can see on the plat of survey, the driveway would turn towards our property, and the actual camper unit would be parked at least 5 feet, if not more, away from our neighbor's property line. During the last hearing, we took your advice and we went and met with both of our neighbors. We had a discussion on what they're comfortable as far as us parking this unit here. And both parties, we both agree upon that it would be best for them to parking behind or even with their shed that provides them the most I would say privacy at this point. As you can see at the attached pictures, our yard is very unique. It's 300 feet long, 100 feet wide. There's plenty of space to utilize it. As you can see at the pictures that we've included, there's already existing fencing. There's very tall, very well-established trees that are green all year long. That provides additional privacy, as well as we're talked to the neighbors about planting more evergreens to even provide even extra privacy, so nobody's bothered at this point. Like Mr. Peterson mentioned, we asked our neighbors to actually come into the city and Both of them came in, signed the revised proposed plat of survey. We had it notarized. We actually had a talk today. They were asking us when we're going to continue with this project. So they're waiting for this to be done as well. So at this point, we would like to ask for your understanding and approval.
Okay, thank you. So although I wasn't at the last meeting when your case was initially presented, I did read through the meeting minutes, and I also went on to watch the city council meeting that it was intended for you guys to be at. So I guess, reading through everything, from what I could interpret, the concern really stemmed from the size of the RV and not so much the variation requested for the variance for the driveway. I mean, as you know, as you may know, our board, in order to grant variations, there are very specific standards that we have to meet in order to, grant variations. So I guess it doesn't appear to me that, I know that there's a handout now in our board packet that provides the dimensions of the RV that you own. And it appears to me here that the dimension, the length is still shown at 36.83 feet, which means you'd be seeking a variance of 4.83 feet. So I guess I'd like to ask, do you have any, assuming that information is correct, nothing has changed in regards to the length of your RV. So, I guess we'll be looking to you then to provide additional testimony in regards to what exactly is the hardship here in regards to needing this variance.
During the last hearing, we are under the impression, it was brought up to us that because of the length of the camper, it was assumed that it's going to be higher than a standard unit. It was pointed out that it's probably 14 feet high. That's why we provided the actual specification of the camper. It's, what is it, 12? It's 12 feet high. And as far as the height, because our understanding was the issue was it exceeds beyond the actual fence, and the unit being longer, it's going to be automatically higher, and that's not the case. The height is pretty standard. The length, okay. it is a little longer than city approves, which on our part, it's our fault, but we were not aware of at the time of purchase. We had a different camper prior to it, and with the size of these lots, it didn't even cross our mind that we were going to be restricted on the length. So it's our fault for not checking it before we purchased the unit. Our kids are growing up, so that was the reason for purchasing a longer unit, so they have a little bit more privacy on their part. But again, as far as the height, going from 32 to 37, there's no difference in that, and that seemed to be an issue last time.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and see if there's anyone here on the call this evening that is wanting to speak to this case. And if you do want to speak to the case, we can put an asterisk in front of your name. So you can change your name title and put an asterisk in front of it. I wonder if there are people on the call this evening. So is anyone here to speak to this case? And maybe even if you're having technical difficulties changing your name, maybe you could just wave, and we can have Patrick look to see if anyone is trying to catch our attention. Because Patrick, is the chat function off this evening, or can we use that as well?
No, the chat function is off, and I don't see anyone with their hand raised or asterisks.
Okay, so let's go ahead then. Are there any commissioners that have questions for the applicant this evening?
this is Commissioner Kempa. What kind of evergreens are you proposing to add additional screening?
We are gonna put 8 to 10 foot evergreens past throughout the whole side of the camper. And then the privacy that the neighbor's shed is gonna take care of the rest, because the shed is 20 feet long. And it's actually 15 feet tall, and it's gonna block the view of the camper.
Okay. And what's in the back of the property? Is it golf course?
Yeah, Rob Roy Golf Course.
Okay.
Okay, any other commissioners that have questions for the applicant? Okay, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion, please, to close the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-11.
Bruce Mel will make that motion. Commissioner DeGraff, second.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Taman,
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart,
Let's come back to her, Jen.
okay, Commissioner DeGraff,
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart, again?
I said aye. Did you not?
There you go. We couldn't hear you. Commissioner Mellon
Aye.
and Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, so then I guess I'll open it up to the commissioners to see if there's any additional discussion to occur on this case.
This is
Commissioner Mellon. With the neighbor, indicating their support for the driveway, I'm inclined to vote in favor of this. The question of whether or not the air conditioner units on site constitutes a hardship is debatable, but if the neighbors are all in support of it, we have approved variances of driveways in the past for similar types of hardships. Unfortunately, with without any new evidence of a hardship related to the length of the RV, I don't think I'm going to be able to support the 37-foot RV. It's unfortunate, but I think this is one of those things that the code is the code, and we need to adhere to it. I'm going to unmute.
I'm not doing anything.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
This is Commissioner DeGraff.
Go ahead, Scott.
As far as, obviously, I voted in favor of allowing the driveway because over the years, we've definitely have approved the driveway to be able to be closer to the lot line. The issue that I have, and I think it's very nice that the neighbors all signed off on it, is if the neighbors decide to sell, it might be a hardship for them to actually sell because a future buyer might look at that and go, boy, I don't know if I want to live there. Or in the event that they do sell, that the new homeowner will come to us and say, hey, you know what, that's really a big motorhome camper in the backyard. And what is actually the ordinance? And the ordinance is 32 feet, which is very, 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 very lenient. Definitely Arlington, Wheeling, Mount Prospect, well, maybe Wheeling, but I know Mount Prospect, Arlington would never allow that in their backyards. So with the 32-foot variance that we have now, I think we're opening up a can of worms basically to allow it to get bigger, and that anybody down the road would then say, hey, you gave a hardship to this resident, why can't I? So I really can't waver on my decision, and it's going to be the same as it was last time.
This is Commissioner Sayward. I would have to agree that I think you're doing a good job trying to screen the recreational vehicle. And it was good that you were able to talk with the neighbors next door, but the problem is that you're asking for a driveway variance because of the 37-foot vehicle, which isn't allowed. And there has been no indication that there's any type of hardship relating to the fact that you had to buy the 37-foot vehicle and now you have to store it on your property. I agree that we would be setting a precedent by allowing the larger size recreational vehicle if there isn't any type of a hardship related to it. Our standard specifically says that the hardship cannot be directly created by the person with proprietary interest in the premise. So based on that standard, I would have to hold to my original vote and not allow the 37-foot vehicle. And then the reason that you're asking for the driveway variance is because of the vehicles. So I wouldn't support the driveway variance because it's hinged on the fact that you're trying to store a vehicle on it that isn't permitted in the city.
May I add something, ma'am?
Sure.
At this point, we considered that option and we actually.
Excuse me, Ursula?
Yes, go ahead.
At this point in time, you've got to wait a second because the hearing had been closed and we're in the middle of deliberation of
Okay.
the council. If there's any additional questions, the chair will open the floor back up or ask you specifically to address something, but we do need to go through this with the
All right.
commissioner.
No
Thank
problem,
you.
I apologize.
No, and actually, what I was gonna say is I think I've heard, from enough commissioners at this point to, let's just move this forward. So if you want, as the applicant, if you want to go ahead and say something, that's fine.
But I would like to add, we've actually considered all options, including the length of the camper, and we are open to downsizing at this point. The hurdle at this point, and this is due to the COVID, that it's very hard to find any smaller units at this point. So, but we'll definitely, if we can park it on the side, we'll definitely be open to downsizing.
Okay, then I would like a motion, please, to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance with this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff this evening, and to make these standards a part of the official record of the application. Motion, please.
I'll make that.
Janet.
Commissioner Saywert made the motion.
Kempa, second.
Thank you. Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward. Let's see, so,
Number one.
right. Right, so based on the testimony and evidence presented this evening, we're going to go ahead. I'd like a motion, please. We're going to do two separate motions. A motion, so it's going to be in the affirmative, so a motion to recommend that the city council approve.
Chairman Dash, can I please ask a question? If the
Yes.
driveway variance is hinged on this specific recreational vehicle, though,
I mean, I think we can consider them to be separate.
I think due to the hardship of the air conditioner compressors and even a 32-foot camper, if they were to downsize to one, would still need all of 11 feet to maneuver there. But again, I understand your point, Commissioner Saywert, on this one. We're looking at what's in front of us on the table tonight.
This is Commissioner Kempa. If the applicant is willing, can we put a condition that the camper has to go down to 32 feet in length and then consider the vote that way?
That's the hard part with that, Commissioner Kempa, is that at what point is the time frame ended? You know, that the hard part is, and then if it isn't, then we end up having to go and try and administratively revoke the approvals, which is difficult, or take them to court. Those are the only administrative remedies after such like this, and it's something you could bring up to see if you got support from the other commissioners to that regard, but from an administrative and enforcement side, it's very messy.
Yeah, how can you obligate somebody to go make a purchase? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough condition.
Yeah, I mean, again, let's just move forward on the merits of the application in front of us.
Right, I think we could vote on the driveway based on the that they provided with the air conditioners and yes or no, and it'll be up to the village to make sure that if the camper is voted no tonight on the variance, that they don't park it back there, you know?
Right, and as commissioners, we can also vote no to the variance of the driveway, and in the event the applicant does purchase a smaller RV that is able to be parked on the property, they can come back before us and submit a new application to have their case be heard. That's my intention. I'm going to be a no on both of the variations. And maybe, Dan, could we do something, what is the expense to submit for a variation?
$125. And it was,
Is there
this one, it was a combined. I didn't charge them for two separate variations because it was one singular application. So it would just be another application fee of $125.
Other than internal processing, is there any expense on behalf of the city to?
The expense is staff time, and then the applicant pays for the mailing and the public notice in the newspaper. So it's minimal.
So could we make a condition that we could waive their application fee if they want to come before us again?
If they were to come back before us again on the driveway, because it would only be the driveway if they had a compliant trailer, I could support that from a staff perspective.
Okay, so then staff has agreed that in the event the applicant, again, we're a recommending body, we're going to vote this evening, but in the event the applicant does come back to the city at a future date for a request to reduce the side yard setback for the construction of a driveway, that the city would be willing to waive the application fee.
If it gets a negative recommendation
Right.
tonight.
Or ultimately, yeah,
Or even
the city council, right. At any juncture, if the applicant comes back, we'll waive that fee. So, okay, so again, these,
Yes.
right, so these motions are going to be in the affirmative. So if you vote yes, you are agreeing with the variance. If you vote no, you are against the variance.
And we have a motion and a second on number one.
Right. So we didn't do that yet, did we? Oh, we did it already? I'm sorry.
No, excuse me. No, we did not. I had the wrong notes. My
All right,
notes
so
were-
I'd like a motion, please, to recommend that the city council approve the variance for a 37-foot recreational vehicle in excess of the 32-foot maximum allowed for parking and storage of a recreational vehicle per section 5-8-4B3. Motion, please.
I'll make that motion. Bruce Mellon.
Second?
I'll second.
Janet?
Second by Janet. Jen, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon,
No.
Commissioner Patel,
No.
Commissioner Taman,
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart,
No?
Commissioner DeGraff,
No.
Chairman Dash.
No. Okay, so the motion
Failed
failed
2-5.
2-5. Okay, I'd like a motion, please, to recommend that the city council approve the variation to reduce the required side yard setback from 5 feet to 1.5 feet for the construction of a driveway to access the rear yard as required by section 5-8-2 E2A.
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner DeGraff will second.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Patel,
No.
Commissioner DeGraff,
No.
Commissioner Mellon,
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert,
No.
Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Commissioner Taman,
No.
Chairman Dash.
No. Okay, so the motion
Failed 5,
failed
2 to 5.
2 to 5. So again, we are a recommending body, and at this juncture, your matter will appear before the city council for a first reading on September 14th.
We will send out an agenda and Zoom notification to you folks, Lucas and Ursula, as soon as that gets scheduled, which will probably be Monday. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, so on to our first case of new business. Which is zoning public hearing case number 20-13. The applicant is Joseph Polina at 213 Shannon Drive, Prospect Heights, Illinois. And the applicant is seeking a variation to encroach 4 feet into the required side yard setback from 15 feet to 11 feet for the construction of an addition to the primary structure as required by section 5-6-1 E2 of the Prospect Heights zoning code. Okay, I'd like a motion, please, to open the public hearing and application number ZBA 20-13.
Commissioner DeGraff will make that motion.
A second?
Janet?
Okay, Jen, roll call vote, please. You there, Jen?
Looks
Did
like
we lose you? Oh, I see her.
Sorry, I muted myself again. Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff,
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert, Commissioner Mellon,
Aye.
Commissioner Taman,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel, and Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, Director Peterson, your comments, please.
Okay. Mr. Joseph Polina, owner of the property, is seeking a minimal variation to add a 10-foot third bay, garage bay onto his existing structure. As you know, as families grow and drivers grow and number of drivers and space to accommodate them grow, the need becomes apparent. Third car bays in that subdivision are common, so it's not outside of the norm, and the variation sought is minimal. With that, Mr. Polina, I believe, is on the line.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I will need to swear you folks in this evening.
Okay.
So do you swear the testimony you'll be giving this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, if you could just please state your name and address for the record.
Joseph Polina at 213 Shannon Drive.
Thank you, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so we're looking to extend our garage. Again, the hardship would be because just moving these cars around, as we get more, there's gonna be a driveway full of cars. And I think that'll be an eyesore to the neighbors. I think the neighbors rather see, open driveways instead of clutter. So with the garage space, that'll give us a little more access to have one less car out there.
Great, so thank you for explaining your hardship this evening. The staff report was pretty thorough. It identifies that the standards for the variation have been met. Staff isn't recommending any other conditions or restrictions. So let's go ahead and see if there's anyone from the public that is here to, or online, to speak to the case this evening. So again, you can put an asterisk in front of your name, or you can give us a wave and maybe we'll see you here. Do you see anyone, Patrick?
No, I do not.
Okay, so at this point, we'll assume that there's no one on the call that's wishing to speak to this case. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant this evening?
Well, this is Commissioner Sayward. I just have a quick question for the homeowner. It looks like the greenhouse is set back a little bit more from the property line. Is the greenhouse in compliance with the setback?
I'm gonna try not to build it on the on the variance section of the property. It's 16 feet, so I'm gonna try to get as close as the door that's back there right now. So it shouldn't be in that area, but if it is over at least a foot, it won't go all the way to the end. It would be only maybe to 14 feet from the property line instead of the 15. That's the goal, is try to keep it back so you don't see it from the front of the house or the side of the house.
Okay, so the variance is not just for the parking space, it may be for the greenhouse as well.
Yeah, yes. The greenhouse will be in the back of the house anyways. I'm just putting it in there to show that there's going to be something, but it shouldn't be on that variance section that we're talking about today.
Because the way the variation is written right now, it's the construction of an addition to the primary structure. So would the greenhouse fall under that category in the event it does encroach?
It's not going to be a primary structure because we can take it down anytime we want. It's just, you
I
know.
was just asking Director Peterson what his thoughts were, because I don't.
The information provided did not specifically say whether it was connected to the structure or not. It was put as supporting material in case it did happen to, you know, Mr. Polina did say that he would like to keep it at 15 feet or less, but it might, depending on the door and windows and setting it up, may encroach a little bit. I think that was just shown to be more of scale where it could be.
So Director Peterson, in considering this variation, could it be worded in a way to incorporate the garage and the temporary structure as
Yes.
an allowable encroachment?
Yes. Actually, if the greenhouse wasn't as close to the house, it could go up to 5 feet because it's an accessory structure. If he connects that roof panel or the wall panels to the primary structure, then it would be bound to the 15, to the variations.
Right. I was going to ask, should we even be considering a greenhouse at this point?
The question I would have for the applicant, you would keep that greenhouse at 15 feet off the line, correct? And you have no intention of attaching it to the structure, correct?
Correct.
Then I would not even consider the greenhouse.
Okay.
But the construction of the greenhouse would be a separate permit anyway.
Correct.
Is required.
Correct.
I want to have to, we don't need to have the family back again in front of us.
No.
We could have taken care of it this evening.
No.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like there will be a variance needed for the greenhouse. So we will amend the variation being requested tonight to cover it.
Okay.
And if they end up in front of us again, Dan.
I know, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay, so, Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant this evening?
This is Commissioner DeGraff. I have one question, obviously, and I think I can answer it myself. You are going to try and match the front of the house so it doesn't really look like we just stuck it on, correct?
Correct. I'm trying to use the same brick, but we're still looking for people to build this thing. So, but I want to match it exactly we can. The only question people are saying is the size could be a little bit different. But I like, as long as the color matches, that's what we're looking for. I don't want to make the house look different.
Fantastic. No, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Mr. Polina, this is Commissioner Mellon. I don't see any of your neighbors, at least they haven't indicated so on the Zoom here, coming out against this. Do you have any materials showing support for this from any of your neighbors?
Yeah, actually, we had them sign a petition for us to do it, and we've got 4 signatures from the neighbors. So some people weren't available.
I would just submit that as a evidence.
Well, is there?
I didn't mean to go that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
What I would do is if you could state the addresses of the neighbors for the record, seeing we do not have that, if that's something you'd like to do.
Well, my wife didn't take down the addresses. She just got the signatures.
All right. I think at this point in time, unless, because it's not, we don't have the addresses, we just have the signatures. I think we'll just hold off, and based on your testimony that you've talked to your neighbors and they're in support of the project.
That was really where I was going with that question.
Okay.
They are very.
Yeah. Okay, so,
Is the neighbor that's affected one of the neighbors that signed?
That neighbor is moved out, and she's going to be putting her house on the market now. So she's not even in the house anymore. She just moved out like a month and a half ago, something like that.
okay. Any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners? Okay, then I'd like a motion, please, to close the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-13.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Mellon, a second, please.
By DeGraff.
Thank you, Scott. Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Stewart. Can you hear me? Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye.
And, Jeff, my vote is for aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Janet.
Thanks, Jan.
So yeah, again, based on my review of the application and the staff report, and the documents submitted by the applicant, certainly 3-car garages are not out of the ordinary. I think this addition to their house will certainly not only look nice, but provide the function that the family is looking for. So I'd like, please, or any other discussion amongst the commissioners? Otherwise, we'll move forward. Okay. All right, so we can do the motion too.
Yeah, we closed it now.
Okay, so I'd like a motion, please, to receive into the public record staff review of compliance of this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff this evening, and to make these standards a part of the official record for this application.
Commissioner DeGraff will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, then I would like a motion, please, to recommend that the city council approve the variation to encroach 4 feet into the required side yard setback from 15 feet to 11 feet for the construction of an addition to the primary structure as required by section 5-6-1E2 of the Prospect Heights zoning code.
I'll make the motion.
Neil,
Second.
Kempa.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Stewart.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye.
This will be on the city council agenda Monday, September 14th. Joe, I will be forwarding you an agenda and the Zoom login information next week after it's scheduled.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, we'll move on to our second case of new business. Zoning public hearing case number 20-14. The applicant is Christopher
Pangadian
at 100 South Wheeling Road, Prospect Heights. And the request this evening is for a variation to increase the size of an accessory structure from 200 feet to 288 square feet on the property in the R1 Single Family Residential District as required by Section 5-3-4G of the Prospect Heights zoning code. And the accessory structure in question this evening is a shed. So I'd like a motion, please, to open the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-14.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert. And Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, Dr. Peters, your comments.
The applicant, Chris, has come before us to double the size of his existing shed from 144 square feet to 188. Our code limits sheds to 200 square feet. However, we do allow detached garages up to 720 square feet. Garages, however, need driveways and electrical and stuff. So the applicant expressed some concerns and needs for extra storage, but not to the desire to put a full detached garage. It meets all the setback requirements.
All right, so Chris, before you present your case this evening, I'm just going to swear you in. Is anyone else going to speak to the case, Chris, or just you?
My father-in-law is here too.
Okay, so if they want to speak, then they can just all raise their hand. And do you swear that the testimony you will be giving this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We do.
Okay, so you can just go ahead and state your name and address for the record.
Christopher Pangandian, 100 South Wheeling Road, Prospect, Illinois. Or Prospect Heights, Illinois.
Marmelino Ortiz, same address, father-in-law to Chris.
Okay, so again, I know that the package we received this evening was pretty comprehensive. So, Chris, I think based on the report we received, if you could just talk to us a little bit about your hardships, I think that's the main testimony we'd like to hear this evening.
We're just because the house we bought didn't come with a basement or the rooms are pretty small as well. We're kind of looking at storage space. Our attic was put in with blown-in insulation, so there's not a possibility of actually making it storage. So the only possible way to get any extra storage is to extend the shed, but we wanted to double it from 144 to 288, but we're only allowed 200 square feet max on accessory, on an accessory shed.
So would you say that it would be a financial hardship for you to build an accessory structure, like a garage with driveway and?
Yeah, a garage would definitely, at this point, we wouldn't financially be able to support it. That's why we opted out for just extending the shed. But to extend it to just 200 feet wouldn't give us the ample amount of room that we need.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to see then if there's anyone else on the call this evening who would like to speak to this case. So again, if you could wave or put an asterisk by your name. Do you see anyone, Commissioner Mellon or Patrick? Okay, so at this point, we'll continue to leave it open in case someone wants to say something, but I'm going to see if any of the commissioners have any questions for the applicant.
This is
okay.
Hayward, I have two questions. One, for the applicant, do you feel that this is the minimum size that you could go with for the storage that you're trying to accommodate?
Could you repeat that one more time?
Do you feel that this is the minimum size that you could use for the storage? Is it possible for you to go less than the additional 144?
No, just because one of our rooms right now are completely full, and the shed right now is actually packed to the point we can't really walk into it. Just because of the snowblower, lawnmower we have. I mean, we in the future want to get a riding lawnmower, and with that alone, it wouldn't fit in the shed at all.
Okay, and then my second question is for Director Peterson. Correct me if I'm wrong, he has a 144 square foot shed now. He could do 2 additional 80-foot sheds without having any kind of variance, and he'd be over 300 square feet, is that right?
He could do an additional 180 square feet. You can have the two shed, well, you are correct. Let me just rephrase that. You are correct. You could have up to 3 accessory structures. You can have 1 garage and 2 additional sheds. But to have 3 sheds, I'd have to double check, but I don't think that's how that would work. So I think he could get 1 additional shed, as long as it, that could be 280 square feet if you had the 1 shed of 200 and then the second shed at 80. So what he's asking for is really an 8-foot variation if you were to look at it that way.
Okay, thank you.
This is Commissioner DeGraff. I have a question for Director Peterson. Could we actually put a condition on the property that any other outstructures can't add up to more than 632 feet? Because he could have a 720 garage minus the, obviously the 80 feet.
He would be capped like any other applicant at the 1,000 square foot, unless he had a 30,000 square foot lot, which you could get the added shed. So I think if he's got 288 by code, he would be restricted. So I don't think there's an additional restriction that would be needed.
Okay, thank you.
So are there any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners?
None from me.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and I'd like to request please a motion to close the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-14.
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner DeGraff, second.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hayward.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa. Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
And Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, so I'll open it up to discussion amongst the commissioners. Again, I think the staff report was pretty thorough. The open item would have been discussion of the hardship. You know, the square footage of this house is, you know, under 1,300 square feet. It's on a slab. Really, the applicant has testified that utilizing the attic is not an option. And I certainly would think that storing items in the shed are better than storing them in your yard. So the concept of concealing some of these items, I think, would be appreciated by the community. So if there's not any other discussion that needs to take place amongst commissioners.
I have one question for Director Peterson. It seems to be a weird, the words escaping me, but it just seems to be a funny section of the code where the number of structures, and if there was a second shed, you'd actually be able to get more square footage. Is this something that the council might want to reconsider? Because in my opinion, it would seem that the village would be better off with a singular structure of a slightly larger size, like the applicant is requesting today, as opposed to multiple sheds placed all over people's yards.
In researching this section of the code when I first started, the desire was due to the half-acre lots and not the need to have a septic field anymore when the city went to a public sewer system. It gave the residents opportunities to add the large garages. However, it also had other areas that they could put secondary sheds and in some cases little 80 square foot garden structures, capping the total amount of covered sheds to 1,000 square feet. So you're talking 1,000 square feet out of a 20,000 square foot lot. Will appear to be minimal. The hard part comes in situations like this where he could build a garage, but that's an expensive deal, so therefore he's limited to only 200 square feet. So, but trying to find a balance on what that number, and in most cases a 10 by 20 shed is in most cases adequate, but
couldn't he build a separate shed and get up to 280 square feet total between the two?
no, because it's capped at anything over 200 square feet, now it's defined as a garage, and now you have to have an improved surface to the doorway, you have to have electrical for light. That's part of the definition. That's why he's here, is the definition within that code says anything over 200 square feet is not a shed, it's a garage.
How do we get to 1,000 though if it's 200 for the shed?
720 plus 200 is 920 plus an 80 tool shed.
I got you. Thank you for the understanding.
It's a tough one. It took me a while to understand myself.
So even under that scenario, though, we're allowing for an 80 square foot tool shed. It seems to me that we could figure out a way to maybe consolidate that into a 280 square foot maximum, separate accessory structures, and it can be broken up any way you want, and no more than two,
That we could do, that's something that we could investigate moving forward with the text amendment to clarify that. That may be helpful.
Maybe Bruce Mellon will want to collaborate with you on that one.
That would be accepted.
Great.
That helps.
All right. Any other discussion amongst the commissioners? And just checking one more time, there's no one from the public who's, I already closed it.
Yep.
I already closed it, sorry. All right. I'd like a motion, please, to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance of this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff this evening, and to make these standards a part of the official record for the application.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, Janet.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote, please, Jen?
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Sabert.
Aye.
and Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, so based on the testimony and evidence presented this evening, the standards for this application have been met. Therefore, I'd like a motion, please, to recommend that the City Council approve the variation to increase the size of an accessory structure from 200 square feet to 288 square feet on the property in the R1 Single Family Residential District as required by Section 5-3-4G of the Prospect Heights zoning code.
I'll make that motion, Kempa.
I'll second. Commissioner
Jen,
DeGraff.
thank you. Go ahead, Jen.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. We're approving this, let's see, 7-0.
Yep,
And it will appear before the City Council for first reading on September 14th.
that is correct. Again, like the other ones, Chris, you will get an agenda and a Zoom login information next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to now go to our third case
New business, yes.
of new business. Okay. This will be zoning public hearing, case number ZBA 20-15. And the applicant is Everclean Car Wash, represented by Mr. Lee.
Ms.
Ms. Lee, thank you. And the address of the property is 1318 North Rand Road, Arlington Heights, Illinois. And the applicant is seeking a special use and a variation to install an electronic message center into the existing monument sign within 500 feet of an existing electronic message center sign on the same street per section 5-9-5A of the Prospect Heights zoning code. I'd like a motion, please, to open the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-15.
I'll make that motion. Commissioner DeGraff.
I'll second. Commissioner Saywert.
Jen, roll call, please. You're muted, Jen.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. All right, Director Peters.
About a year and a half ago, the Zoning Board of Appeals and the council recommended a special use for a car wash in the B3 zoning district. Everclean was constructed and opened up in February of this year. They constructed their monument sign per the approved plans. They've come before us because they want to alter that existing sign and add an electronic message center sign, which complies with the size requirements. However, per our sign code, electronic message center signs require special use approval. Also, too, in that section of the code, it does limit and restrict electronic message center signs from being on the same street as another one. This location of the car wash is across the Rand Road from Tony's Finer Foods, which has an electronic message center already. That sign's approximately 275 feet from the proposed site of this sign. So that's what's before us tonight.
Okay. So it looks like we have the applicant on the line. So I'm going to go ahead and swear you in.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Good evening. My name is Ben. I work with Legacy Sign Group, and I'm here to work in collaboration with Eunice and answer any technical questions you might have about the message center.
Sure.
So I'll be well.
Are you going to present this evening, or is she?
So I'll be presenting, and then he will be answering any of the questions that are in regards to how the sign actually runs.
Okay, so I can swear you both in at the same time, and then when you give your testimony, you'll just state your name and address for the record.
Okay.
Okay, so do you swear that the testimony you'll be giving this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys can, Ms. Lee, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So hello, everyone. My name is Eunice Lee, and I'm the Real Estate Development Project Manager for Everclean. So like mentioned before, Ben Johansson with Legacy Signs is also on this call, and he will be answering any questions with the technical parts of the sign. We currently have the location at 1318 North Rand Road in Arlington Heights. And I just wanted to first off just say thank you to the city of Prospect Heights and Dan Peterson and his team for helping us come so far along as just members of this community. We've had a great experience just working with Prospect Heights and an even greater experience being part of this community. So today, Everclean is looking to install an electronic messaging center into our current monument sign. This EMC will be a great addition to the Everclean property, but it'll also be a great addition to the community. So currently, it's kind of difficult to see our facility because of the surrounding businesses. However, the monument sign is visible to those that are driving on the road, but that's only if people notice it. It's typical for someone to drive past and not notice a business or a sign because they're so used to driving the same route in their own community. But with an EMC, that'll help our site get recognition, and people will be able to learn what we do and offer instead of finding out as they pass our property and notice our vacuums. So when we first opened in February of 2020, I don't think anyone would have been able to predict COVID-19 and the massive effects it has on this economy. Unfortunately, we as a business continue to push through these hard economic times. While we are operating as best as we can, it is a struggle to launch the site the way we know it ought to be launched due to the pandemic. Our typical first year is usually one of great excitement and explosive growth, but our experience so far at this location is more of a gradual and steady growth. Having our current monument sign retrofitted with an EMC will not only help drive more awareness and hopefully more sales, but also will be used to bring a positive spirit to the community. So for example, when the pandemic first started and non-essential businesses were shut down, we actually offered free washes to all the healthcare workers. We wanted to be able to encourage them during these tough times and thank them for putting their own health at risk by helping others. With an EMC, it's easy to promote that message and make sure that everybody knows and is aware so they can take benefit of the free washes. So we just want to be able to spread the word, have messages and special promotions going on at Everclean, and so we can just continue to be good neighbors within the community. Everclean does care about every community that we're a part of, and we want to show the community that we care and know that the EMC will make a difference for us and for the city. We hope you can see the benefits of granting the special use and variation and show you what we're capable of doing. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's anyone on the call this evening from the public that is looking to speak with this case. So you can give us a wave or put an asterisk in front of your name. Anyone popping up? Commissioner Mellon?
No one's popping up.
Okay, Patrick, if you see anyone.
Joe Eberhardt's on. He's the neighbor at Village Cycle Center. Yep, Cycle Shop.
No, I don't see anyone.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. All right, commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant? I mean, I would say that the package we received this evening was pretty thorough. The testimony you gave this evening certainly speaks to the hardship in regards to trying to create additional visibility for your site there on Rand Road. Mm-hmm. I had that right. I guess I'd like to ask the applicant, when we previously approved the EMC for the Tony's Grocery Store, there was a condition that the message center would be turned off during non-business hours, and that, you know, the panel portion of the sign lights would be lowered during non-business hours. So I know staff is recommending that we put that same condition on the potential approval this evening. Do you have any issues with that, Ms. Lee?
No, we do not. And our current sites with electronic messaging centers also do function in that sense.
Great. Okay, so I'm not hearing any questions for the applicant from the commissioners. So I'm going to go ahead and ask please for a motion to close the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-15.
Make that motion.
Campo.
I'll second. Commissioner DeGraff.
Thank you. Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. So commissioners, any questions for Director Peterson or comments or concerns?
This is Bruce Mellon. I can speak from personal experience driving down Rand Road. Because of the short setback of some of the adjacent properties, while the monument sign that Ms. Lee and Everclean has currently is substantial, it doesn't necessarily pop. And I know it's there, and I can sometimes lose track of where the driveway is. So I think the EMC that they're proposing will actually provide a safety benefit and give drivers a little better advance notice coming in and out of this property. I know that I've missed the driveway, and I know it's coming, and I know it's there, and I've missed the driveway. So, you know, from that perspective, I would support this variance.
Any other questions or for Director Peterson or comments from the commissioners? Director Peterson has something he'd like to add.
The only thing, Ms. Lee, that I would ask is that if this gets approved, that the feather flag, the temporary signs that are out there, be removed at this time. They're past their permanent time. We've allowed those to go during this time. However, if you've got the message center.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Stewart. I would echo that. I think that having the electronic message center is a great way to do special promotions and not have to do all of the temporary signs that typically get put along the property. I think it would be a cleaner way to do it and more effective. So I would also be in support of it.
So Director Peterson, then that's not part of our recommendation.
No.
Part of our code in regards to temporary signage.
Correct. We have an ability for them to get temporary signs. They would continue to have that right. It's just the length of times that they're staying out there.
Any other questions for Director Peterson or comments? Because otherwise, we can continue to move this forward. Okay, then I'd like a motion, please, to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance with this application with the zoning standards as previously presented by staff this evening, and to make these standards a part of the official record of the application.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Commissioner DeGraff.
Thank you. Jen, roll call, please.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, then, based on the testimony and evidence presented this evening, the standards of the application have been met. Therefore, I'd like to request a motion to recommend that council approve a special use and variation to install an electronic message center into the existing monument sign within 500 feet of an existing electronic message center sign on the same street per section 5-9-5A of the Prospect Heights zoning code, with the condition that the electronic message center will be turned off during non-business hours and the panel portion of the sign lights will be lowered during non-business hours. Motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Sayward.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, passes 7-0. This matter will be before the City Council for a first reading on September 14th.
And like the previous ones, agendas and login information for the Zoom meeting will be forwarded to you, Eunice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, we didn't, thanks for joining us, Ben. All right. We will move on now to our fourth case of new business. The applicant is Matt Welch, who is an agent for Hawthorne Racecourse, and this is zoning public hearing case number 20-16. And the address of the facility is 1250 South River Road, Prospect Heights, Illinois. And the applicant is seeking a text amendment to amend section 5-3-2, definitions of off-track betting facility, by adding sports wagering. This would allow sports wagering as a permitted special use at the Hawthorne Club OTB. So I'd like to leave the motion to open the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-16.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Sayward.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Director Peterson.
Late last year, the Illinois legislature passed the Sports Wagering Act, which would allow adults to wager on sports games. With that, there's going to be certain businesses that will be licensed to host those types of facilities, and Hawthorne Racecourse and their function as an OTB is able to obtain a license for such. So this would be the only facility in Prospect Heights that could be eligible to get a license at this time, and they're seeking the text amendment that would allow them to have that UC in our code was silent on sports wagering. Mr. Walsh, the attorney representing Hawthorne Racecourse, is on the line and could add anything I missed.
Yes. I'm going to swear you in, but again, if Director Peterson already covered it, you can certainly add something, but otherwise, not necessary. But I'll go ahead and swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you'll be giving this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Okay, and just your name and address for the record, please.
Matthew Welch with Montana and Welch, 11950 South Harlem Avenue, Palos Heights, Illinois.
Thank you. Leah, is there anything you'd like to add to what we received in your application, or anything that maybe Director Peterson may have left out?
Mr. Peterson accurately stated what's going on with the additional use that we're trying to bring within the off-track betting facility. There, with the addition of sports wagering, there's not going to be a significant change to the operations. There's not the Hawthorne is not bringing a larger footprint to the facility, so everything is going to be contained within the currently existing building. And as Mr. Peterson stated, any sports wagering has to be licensed by the Illinois Gaming Board also. Hawthorne has received that license in conjunction with its off-track betting facility, and therefore the proposed amendment would limit sports wagering only to those facilities that are also licensed to as an off-track betting facility.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and see if there's anyone from the public that is looking to testify this case this evening. And if you are on the call to speak, you can either, again, put an asterisk in front of your name, or you can give us a little wave for your video, and we can make sure you're unmuted. So do we see anyone who may be showing interest?
Patrick? No one.
All right, thank you, Patrick. So commissioners, are there any questions for our applicant this evening?
I have a couple questions. We're talking about the Players Pub, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay, and then can you just explain what does sports wagering, what does that include, or what does that mean? What kind of sports does that include?
Professional sports as authorized under the Illinois Sports Wagering Act. So it's inclusive of basketball, football, baseball, hockey. We can go down the list.
And,
College sports is not included.
and then the addition of the sports wagering, is that due to, is it because of the limited races that have been at Arlington Park, or is there a reason that you're adding it?
It's just, so again, this was not permitted in the state of Illinois until, but as a result of federal case law, it has recently become legal. Illinois recently enacted the Illinois Sports Wagering Act, and they are giving off-track betting facilities the ability to offer this service in conjunction with the traditional off-track betting for horse races. This is not a function of, a problem that Hawthorne is having with wagering on horse races. Again, it's just a new service that is been authorized per state statute.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners? Okay, and Patrick, it doesn't appear that there's anyone on the call this evening, correct?
Correct.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion, please, to close the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-16.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Okay, Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, so it appears that we're really just cleaning up our municipal code to reflect the fact that sports wagering now is allowed within the state of Illinois. So I guess I'll ask the commissioners, is there any additional discussion that we feel should be had before we move forward? Okay, then I'd like a motion, please, to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance with this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff this evening, and to make these standards a part of the official record for the application.
Chairman Dash, I just wanted to make a comment in the subject line. The section is incorrect. The section on the application is 5.2. That is memoir inverted, so that should be correct.
I have a hard time hearing. It's 532 or 522? Right now it's 5-3-2.
It's a typo, and we will correct the definition section, but I believe it should be. I don't have my code book in front of me or my computer, but I believe it is.
I think the application was correct, 5-2-3.
Actually, yeah, there may be a typo in the staff report. That'll be corrected.
5-2-3?
I believe so.
Yes, that is correct. I have it up on my computer. It's 5-2-3.
Thanks, Matt. I'm not available to it, so I appreciate it.
Okay, we already did the vote, correct, to receive into the, or did we not do the vote? I can't remember.
We did not.
So we.
We'll make that as corrected.
Janet's making the motion?
I'll second. Bruce Mellon.
Great. So Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Mellon,
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Taman,
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert,
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Then based on the evidence presented this evening, I'd like a motion to request that we recommend to the City Council a text amendment to amend Section 5-2-3, definition of off-track betting facility by adding sports wagering. This will allow sports wagering as a permitted use at the Hawthorne Club OTB.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert,
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff,
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon,
Aye.
Commissioner Taman,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. All right, so we're making a recommendation 7-0, and I'm assuming it will be on our September 14th City Council agenda.
That is correct.
Anything else, Director?
Matt, I will forward you the login information, and we'll touch base first part of next week.
Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our final and fifth case of new business is zoning public hearing, case number 20-17. The applicant is none other than Dan Peterson with the City of Prospect Heights, address at 8 North Elmhurst Road, Prospect Heights, Illinois. And the applicant is seeking a text amendment to amend the table in section 5-3-4G, which is permitted buildings, structures, and uses, to permit certain sports equipment in yards in section 5-3-4, lot coverage of the City of Prospect Heights zoning code. I'd like a motion, please, to open the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-17.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jen, roll call, please.
Commissioner Saywert, Commissioner Mellon,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel, Commissioner Taman,
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff,
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. So, before you present your case,
I'll just swear me and that'll be
okay,
fine.
what the testimony you'll be giving us this evening, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Chairman and Commissioners, zoning board members, with the onset of COVID-19 and the governor's stay-at-home order, the city's building department code enforcement received a significant increase in calls and complaints of playground equipment, sports equipment, and activities in yards that were not permitted. And is in response to one of those requests, our enforcement officer, Mike Perzicki, made contact with them. There was multiple temporary goals, basketball hoop, and swing sets constructed inside and front yards. Those types of items had never been an issue or a complaint, the temporary sports nets, the basketball hoops on driveways. We never initiated it. When we responded, the complainant who filed the complaint and pulled up our code and said, your code says recreational and laundry drying equipment are prohibited in any yard other than a rear yard or a court. This was not received well. Calls were made to the alderman. We were asked to investigate, to really take a look to see what the scope of the issues were. And so on June 12th, Inspector Perzicki did a visual tour of a survey of the entire city, and we had almost 15% of the city had some form of violation of that section of the code. Basketball hoops were the number one at 418 of them, both permanent and temporary. Hockey, soccer nets, portable, tire swings, just single swings and trees. Play sets manufactured, zip lines, we had 5 of them, and a pickleball net, which was portable, was also identified. We don't believe that basketball hoops, sports nets, temporary, portable, that can be put away, moved, a single rope swing in a tree are violations. We've never had an issue with those calls and complaints. Where we've had some of the other ones is where people build the larger play structures, the multi-tier play forts, the multi-tier climbing stuff in fronts and side yards, which have been a problem. So what we're recommending is a addition to the zoning code to specifically spell out what equipment it would be permitted in yards. And as you can see on the recommended language, that we're recommending recreational equipment, basketball hoops, setback, and that should be 20 feet from the front property line or side property line, wherever the driveway is that it's serving, for safety purposes. Portable sports nets, excluding batting cages, because after this was written, we did have a complaint of someone put up a full-size batting cage in their side yard. And we're adding lights to it when we got the call. And the single swings in trees. So they would be permitted in all those yards, but the actual manufactured type structures would still be prohibited. That way we don't have to go to 15% of our town and give them violation notices to remove basketball hoops.
Okay, so let's see if there's anyone on the call this evening from the public that would like to provide testimony. So again, you can put an asterisk in front of your name. You can turn your video on and give us a little wave so we can see you. Commissioner Mellon, have you identified anyone?
I've got nothing.
Patrick, do you see anyone who's looking to speak to this case?
No one.
Okay. Commissioners, we'll go ahead and, since our applicant is Director Peterson, we'll keep the public hearing open, I guess.
That's fine.
So I guess my quick question would be, so if you have a batting cage or a Costco playground, is it acceptable in your rear yard?
Yes.
Okay. So really what this is doing is allowing these types of sports items, recreational items in your rear yard at all times, but it's creating conditions to restrict them in front and side yards.
Yes, because if you look at the table, previously recreational and laundry drying equipment are only allowed in the rear or court. So now we can allow those other items in the front and sides as well. Okay. So that's how this table is read.
Okay, well, someone who is...
Would you consider a trampoline a portable sport now?
Trampolines are not considered portable because usually their size and the structure, they're not going to be moved from the front or side yard to the rear yard on a daily basis or a regular basis.
But a trampoline would be allowed in your rear yard?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just, I know that our neighbor has one and he moves it every time he mows the grass. So to me, and I don't think you want a trampoline in your front.
I think the rear yard is a great place for them.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned that there isn't a definition of recreational equipment. Do you think we should add one?
We looked at that and I think in this case, to be specific of what we're going to allow is in the front and sides is more effective than trying to define all types of recreational equipment that could go in backs. Our code already addresses sport courts and tennis courts and those things in other sections of the code under lot coverage for rear yards. And there are also certain sport courts are not counted against your lot coverage or FAR. So I would prefer to be more specific about what we're going to allow than trying to define all types of recreational equipment.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for our applicant this evening? Okay, then I'd like a motion, please, to close the public hearing on application number ZBA 20-17.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Okay, Commissioner Taman,
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff,
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon,
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert,
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, so any other, I'm assuming that there's no other discussion that needs to take place amongst the commissioners. So I'm going to ask, please, for a motion to receive into the public record the staff review of compliance with this application with the zoning standards as presented by staff this evening, and to make these standards a part of the official record for the application.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon,
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert,
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa,
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff,
Aye.
Commissioner Taman,
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. All right, so based on the testimony presented this evening, I'd like a motion, please, I'd like to request a motion, please, to recommend that the City Council approve the request for a text amendment to amend the table in Section 5-3 3-4G, permitted buildings, structures, and uses, to permit certain sports equipment in yards in section 5-3-4 lot coverage of the City of Prospect Heights zoning code. Motion, please.
I'll make that motion, Commissioner Miller.
Janet.
Janet, second. Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Saywert.
Aye.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner Taman.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Dash.
Aye. Okay, so Director Peterson.
I'll be there at the 14th.
You've got a positive recommendation of 7-0 from
Thank you
the
very much.
board. And yes, you will be at the meeting on September 14th, and if there's anything the city needs you, I'm sure we'll be talking with you next week.
Yes. Thank you all very much.
Okay, so it looks like you might, are there any previous application updates, Commissioners or Director Peterson, you'd like to share with us?
Not at this time.
Okay. And the item of communication this evening, I guess, is that previous case is continued?
Yeah, that I typed before the agenda, before we had that meeting, and it's, I also want to make sure that we notate on that the second part of that case
This is the Lexington case,
the Lexington
correct?
case. The second part of that is continued to October 22nd. That part of it was specifically the 61 unit portion, so.
I guess today is the 27th.
Yeah,
My bad, too.
yeah, I was ahead of the ball game, typed this up beforehand.
Just out of curiosity, you had indicated that they were working with the Park District, that there's a 30-day process as far as like a 2-meeting process or something like that for agreeing to the land swap. I'm just wondering, is that going to happen in time to know whether or not the 61-unit item is going to get pulled from the agenda, or if that's going to stay on the agenda?
We're going to keep it on the agenda right now for the October 22nd date to make sure that there's enough time for the applicant to finish their work with the Park District and go through the 69-unit with our council. There's no new date, but we believe that the 60 days would be adequate.
Okay.
When does Lexington go to the city council?
September 30th. It's a Wednesday meeting. It was scheduled for a Wednesday.
Hey, Director Peterson, I've been sleeping and I haven't been keeping up. Is there any information that you could give us on the cell tower?
The applicant, it was supposed to be on this past Monday night, the 24th. The applicant is trying to address the request of council to look at a different type of potential stealth or an enclosed antenna type structure, and due to the necessity of dealing with the various provider engineers to see if that can even work, has also requested that they be put on the September 30th agenda.
So if they went to a stealth tower, would that come back to us?
I would have to check with.
The answer is no.
My understanding is that because it was a direction from council that they can bring it back to council. I will be checking with our city attorney because that was my understanding is now they're doing a totally different, they may be coming back with a totally different presentation. However, Crown Castle has been very clear in their presentation that they've already been through 3 public hearing processes on the tower, and that The only reason they're agreeing to extend this is to address the request of council to please give one more crack at an alternative design. So I don't believe it will be coming back, but we'll know on the 30th.
Okay, thank you.
Any other communications, anyone?
We know if there's a September meeting yet?
The likelihood is we will be having a short meeting in September for the Connor Commercial final plat of subdivision. It's a plan commission function, not a public hearing. So it'll just be, more of a public meeting to approve their final plat of sub. I'm expecting the application tomorrow. I have been in contact with, and our city engineer just finished the approval review today and signed off on the plat.
Okay. Had lots of business lately.
It's been a very, very busy COVID.
Good. Well, look forward to more Zoom meetings. Okay, so I guess if there's no other business, do I have a motion, please, to adjourn the August 27th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kempa.
Aye.
Commissioner DeGraff.
Aye.
Commissioner Damon.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon.
Aye.
Commissioner Sayward.
Aye.
And Chairman Dash.
All right, thank you, everybody.